Hello and welcome to Integrity Talks. I'm Sharissa Bloomberg. I'm very excited to introduce someone to you today who is known for her high integrity. I'm talking about Colleen Ryan. Colleen Ryan has been working in community development for over 35 years. She was a private secretary to Minister Shana Fernandez, Minister now of Social Development, and has a very new role I'm excited to explore. Colleen Ryan, welcome to Integrity Talks. Thanks for being here.
Hello, Sharissa, and thank you for having me as part of your Integrity Talks. I really know you very well in the integrity space, and so it's been a pleasure to be invited.
Thank you. Thank you. Colleen, you're known to have integrity. You're known for this value, which is a very high esteemed value to have. So I congratulate you. Please tell us about this new role you've had since March from 2020. And it's something very specific that our nation needs. Tell us about it, please.
No, you said I have all this integrity. Am I really? How do you know that? No, well, I do think that I really would like to believe that I am a person of integrity. And I think that that in this new role, I'm a community outreach officer. And I think it's incredibly important that we have integrity, especially when we go out into communities. And I think that the key thing when you're working with communities is that you want them to trust you. And you will never get a community to trust you if you're going to not be honest with them. So yes, now I'm looking forward to my new role because it's challenging working in communities and building people's trust.
Tell us, you are so modest. Before we talk about integrity, tell us about what the new role entails. And it's so specific to gender-based violence. So do tell us about your new position.
Well, this is a very brand new position, so I'm still finding my feet, but we've just got a new researcher as well, also in our ministry. And I'm really looking forward because one of the main projects that we will be working on is around gender-based violence. And we know that gender-based violence is incredibly topical right now. And so the work that we will be doing, we do quite a bit of response. We have our shelters, we have different places where women can go to. But I think that what's quite key for the researcher and I, and for the minister, is looking at preventative work and working with the boy child and males.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And bringing integrity into it. So I'm going to pick your brain. Yes. What does integrity mean to you?
You know what? It sounds so simple. And the thing is, I wish people would behave as simply as it sounds, but integrity is just doing the right thing, even when nobody's watching you. My mother used to tell me, Colleen, you do in the dark what you do in the light, and you do in the light what you do in the dark. So you just be the same person all the time. And I think that in everything we do, if we just think about that, would I like it if anyone saw me doing this, then you either do it or you don't.
Yes.
So for me, it's about just being honest and truthful.
Now, you're very lucky to have been working with a team that has integrity, and especially with the minister. But tell me, how have you maintained to keep that integrity in your whole workspace?
I must say that to say that we all have integrity it's very nice and noble, Charissa, but I do think everybody does have integrity lapses. I know I can sometimes get quite annoyed at something, but then I just ask myself, Colleen, don't get annoyed. But so I do think that we must be mindful that there are integrity lapses that one can have.
Yes.
But I think that in my work, the ways one can use integrity is, when you're working in communities, I think sometimes people think that communities are lesser than, and I think that the key thing for me is about being respectful. And I think respectful engagement in a community is the start of everything. And it's the start of showing the people your integrity, or whether you don't have integrity, because too often we think that people need to be empowered. People need to be taught things, but people have their own power. We need to break down obstacles and stop them from expressing it. And that's part of what I think I'd like to be doing more in the future.
Well said. And no matter what community or who you are, the people with integrity have a huge following. You know, they have teams behind them that will go to war with them. When you've shown your word is good, and when you've shown you are transparent, and when you've shown you're honest, and when you've shown if you've had an integrity lapse and you've done something you're not so proud of, to actually say, I'm sorry, I'm human, I've messed up. These are the people that we follow, and I can't understand why some people don't get it, not only in our political world, but in organizations as well. So I commend you to including that in the work that you do, and especially in gender-based violence, because it is my personal thought, if people did the right thing every day, there'd be less violence, less animal abuse, less abuse to women, less bullying, less hurtful things, if people just acted with their own integrity. So that's a dream I have, and I salute you in trying to include that. So tell us.
Can I just say something
Yes.
I mean, I think with community development, there are some basic principles. Like you enter a community respectfully. So I think we spoke about respect and looking at integrity. But I think it's also about, there seems to be this culture where people don't want to take ownership, and so they would blame. So even in one's workplace, you need to make sure that you don't try to look for fault or want to blame someone when something doesn't work, but it's actually just acknowledging that you made a mistake. I mean, just look at how the president, when he said we're making mistakes during COVID-19, you immediately, he would have been elevated and people would have respected him for being honest and truthful.
Yes.
So I think it's those basic little things. So even when politicians go into communities, or when government officials go into communities, they really shouldn't think they need to tell people what people want to hear. All they need to do is be honest and truthful. The people will respect them for doing that. And I think that that's what makes the challenge between communities and government and politicians, because they feel they need to have all the answers and nobody does.
Yes. Exactly so, and well said. And about going into disadvantaged communities as if we have the power to come in and fix it and the know-alls. And it's about exactly, it must be very difficult. And when you tell us some of your experience, it must be difficult to go into a community that is challenged and gain that respect without coming in, you know, like us with the smart cars and I'm here to help. And, you know, it's a mindset. How do you impart that in the community and gain that respect? It's challenging.
I think you hit the nail on the head there now when you say we go in with our smart cars and we want to help the communities. Communities need to be listened to, Sharissa. We actually just need to take the time to listen to what they're saying to us. And often we go in as the experts. People have been there for years in that community. They know what's going on. And so if a community says to me, and I can give you an example, in Lavendale, I worked there for 3 years. And when I went in there, they said to me, we would like a bus to transport their children to school. And I said to them, why would you want a bus? And they'll say to me, because as your children walk to school, they get killed all the time. And that's very real for them. The funder that I was with said, no, we can't have a bus because we're building houses. And I thought to myself, but they need a bus. So it's you see, it's a complex thing, but it's about who's giving the money and for what. Oh. And so they will focus on what they're giving the money for, as opposed to what the community might need. So it's about respectfully engaging people, and that's missing. Yes. And so we almost, and that's not so much about integrity, but around principles of community development. Yes. But I think that if you've got integrity, to be honest and say to that community, I can't help you with that. That's all they need to hear. Yes. And sometimes we start making false and empty promises. Yes. And that's where the problem is.
That's brilliant example, and how painful. Yeah, we want a bus. Children are being killed. So give us a lovely home, but it's not going to have our children inside. And you know, it's a very real thing, the safety for the children, and getting raped on the way walking to school. Colleen, I can't imagine this opens up a whole different world for me, how difficult that must be at some point, because it does bring in your ethics and your morals and not feeling like you're helping and you're looking down on a community. We are helping you mindset. So very challenging.
I think that's the problem, Sharissa. We really don't need to feel like we need to help them. We need to just change the narrative, and we need to actually say, let's start engaging people with respect and hearing what they need and what they want and build on that. So I think the whole narrative must change around people look at the poor and how people, not the poor, I mean, how people look at people who have less than what they might have. And that's, I think, where we need to start moving. Like when we talk about Black Lives Matter, when we talk about all these different things, it's about changing the narrative of how we see things to begin with. And I think that after COVID, that's a large part of what we can be doing, you know?
You're going to include that in, of course, because you said you're working with the boy child. And I think that's excellent, as you've said, changing the narrative, changing the mindset, changing the discourse. And that's a slow process, but it can be done. It can be done.
I think that's the problem. We're always looking for these quick fixes, and we're always saying we need to see change, but it's a process. And sometimes it may seem like it's taking a bit longer, but you want people talk the flavor of the month words, and one of them is behavioral change. And it's all good and well to talk about behavioral change, but it's going to happen over time, and it's going to happen. It's not going to happen right now. And I think we sometimes get impatient and we give up. And I sometimes think we make too many promises that we are not able to fulfill. And we just need to be mindful about what's possible. And remember what I say, Charissa, we can change the world one room at a time by the way we behave.
Wise words, Colleen. I love that. One room at a time, one person at a time. And it needs to change, because there's so many lives being lost and so many deaths and so much sadness in this world. You know, I'm looking on the other side of the pandemic, what people are going through, their anxieties. Everyone's dealing with loss on some level, whether it's loss of job, loss of food on the table, loss of future, insecurity, loss of a loved one to COVID, loss of a loved one to abuse. How many have been raped? It is very scary of us trying to be positive and trying to have integrity in this time, integrity in the time of a global pandemic. But there isn't a better time for us to actually look at those values and raise our integrity meter. And yeah, I salute you, Colleen. Going forward, any last words you want to say on the incredible work that you're going to be doing?
I mean, I don't think I want to talk about the work that I'm doing, but I think if I must talk about integrity, then the one thing that I will say is my father used to tell me, Colleen, your name is all you've got. And I don't think I understood it when I was a child. I really didn't think I understood it. But I think that is the truth. Your name is all you've got. And if you lose your name, you lose everything. And I know that I used to, and I still teach my children that, because I think that your name is all you've got. And I mean, if Colleen Ryan is known to have done something illegal or dishonest, people will remember that. If they Google me, they'll see that, you know. So I think that it's important that we remember those basic things that we learned as children. We had a set of values that we were taught, and somewhere along the way you might falter and you might sway, but I think inherently, if you know what they are, that moral compass kicks in. So just never lose your moral compass, and remember your name is all you've got.
I love that, Colleen. I don't think I could have said that any better. Your name is all you've got. And if you know that Colleen's word is good, that is the most powerful thing that you can actually have. And the most powerful weapon, I wouldn't want to call it, but the most powerful thing to put, toolkit to have with you. Yeah. And once it's gone, integrity costs nothing. But when you lose it, you lose everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you, Colleen. It's been such a joy talking to you. And thank you for the good work that you're doing. And thank you for being on Integrity Talks. And we'll catch up with you in a couple of months again and see the amazing work you're doing on changing the narrative.
Yes, no, thank you so much, Charissa. It is really a pleasure speaking to you. And I think that we really need to get more integrity conversations into every space. And I will try my best in the spaces where I find myself to start talking a lot more about integrity and what it means to live with integrity. So thank you.
And I know that your word is good, so I know you will do that. Thank you so much for being on our show, and we will speak to you soon. Thank you,
A pleasure.
Colleen.